All right, welcome everyone. Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Chihayafuru, Season 2, Episode 10. Arata, my boy, you were this close. You were right there. You were about to be able to play cards with your friends again, and at a competitive stage, you had it.
You had it.
And then...
you threw it all away.
You threw it all away.
And I understand your pushover. You really wanted to help your friends.
Right.
You just...
the tears were flowing, you know, but that's not the way.
That just really sucks.
You got
so
caught.
It's not just that, Chihai's not going to be able to play you. Mm-hmm. Shinobu's not going to be able to play you either.
Yeah.
And we're building up some cool stuff with her.
And she wasn't even able to see her favorite outdoor event.
Yeah.
Tragic.
Yeah. This really is a terrible day for Rain.
This is the dark timeline.
Yeah. So, y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. Oh.
No way.
My notes.
Are they...
School looks almost like a temple. The Latter-day Carta cult.
They all have cracked memories. So they're just like, oh, totally random? Cool. Ah!
Wait, so they're just geniuses.
Yeah. Wow.
No assistance.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, Chihaya, lock in. Snap out of it.
Yeah.
See, because that strategy, it probably is detrimental to them a little bit, but it's way more detrimental to the other team.
Right.
And so they're counting on the other team being like, what do we do?
Probably also the other thing is that you spend so much time practicing like that swipe, you know?
Oh, sure.
That the muscle memory is going to be all wrong now.
Right. You're like, I like taking these cards with this kind of movement.
Right.
And you just know that these people will also be like changing their card position mid-match, you know?
Sure. Alright, let it begin.
There's nothing light about this shower.
No, it's harsh. So then maybe you should go watch.
Yeah.
Oh, they're debating how to do this.
Okay, so it's not set in stone that he'll be barred. Yep. Yeah.
彼が衛星名人のお孫さんだからですか。あの子は本当に有望なカルタ選手。周王名人を破るのは。
Oh my gosh.
確かに周王名人は強い。子供にあれを目指しなさいとは言えない。
Right, we'd rather have somebody that could actually be or model to grow Karate as a sport.
But if he then did this, that makes him, you know, not as good of a role model, right?
Wow. Yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah, hopefully the tears will work on both ends of this issue.
Oh. You were jealous.
Okay. I'm a fan of your school.
Oh. Yeah, gets your brain elastic for memorization. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So even though this is competitive cards, that they're doing this just as an afterthought.
Destroy them! Kill them all! Yes! Yes!
Slay them alive!
どうしよう。私、敵陣攻めてなんぼなのに。
But
But there's
I don't
no
even-
side.
Yeah.
反撃をしっかり。
札移動します
Yep.
集中すればちゃんと暗記できるから。
Good luck, Chihaya.
Yeah.
タレカラフだ。
No!
ちゃんとカルタを分かってる
Yeah, but they broke it down to its components and
Yep.
左上段がタレの定位置なんだろうな生地定位置なんだから出るミスもあるやっぱ面白いカルタ部の佐々木が相談してきた時
クイズの早押しの練習がカルタに近くて役に立ちそうなんだ。
whoa!
名人
Alright.
戦クイーン戦の DVD を見たのが始まりだったこれはポイント押しと読ませ押しそのものじゃないか
Whoa.
ポイント押しとは
問題冬の大三角形といえば
まで聞けばシリウスとあと一つは何
Sure.
テルギウス
決まり字そのもの
I like it.
そして読ませ押しは人間は機械じゃないでボタンを押しても次の
Right.
一文字目の一部くらいは言って
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. Yeah.
冬の大三角形といえばプロキ。
御年
Nice.
そのわずかな
Nice.
音を
Cool.
鳴らさずキャッチするそれは競技カルタでいう漢字
Wow.
移動します
また覚え直し。
漢字がいいわけじゃないただ決断しているだ
Yep, just listening
Cool.
well and being decisive.
Just every time.
変態と言いたくなるくらいの知力と暗記力ボタンを押さないと回答権は手に入らないんだひらめきを信じる
俺もだ。取った。私のカルタ。
Yeah, what am I doing?
何枚払ってんの。こんな荒っぽいカルタじゃん。
Hey,
You have
that's
to.
how you win. She's just like, hi. And she walks away.
I love it. Well, she probably wasn't even meaning to be terrifying, you know?
Yeah,
去年と同じくらいの体型になったね。私は成長した。
何してるんやしのぶちゃんびしょ濡れで鳥人間コンテストはまた
yeah. Again.
俺個人戦で連くなったちょっと反則してもうてしのぶちゃんは明日頑張れや
You bastard.
増岡先生、綿谷新が出んのやったら私も棄権しますけど。
Wow.
何言ってんの若宮さんクイーンの君が出ないじゃすまんよ
Watch me.
Okay.
カッコつけんでちゃんと頭下げえな。個人戦出してくださいって。
しのぶちゃんなんで
Oh.
人間コンテスト
Yeah.
パーになって
You were the one person I was excited to play against.
これ以上がっかりしとうない。あんたは私と戦いた
You
くない。
gonna run away?
新たにどんな私を見せるの。高一の私じゃなく小6の私じゃなく。
That's right.
Oh. Okay. Okay.
ありがとう花野さん
よく傘持ってましたね。降水確率低かったのに。
But not zero.
Exactly.
主な検索サイトの予想は晴れだったけど、日本気象協会はところによりに
Oh, where you get your news from. There you go.
明石女子の試合どうだった？
これメモです。ちょっと遠くて裏まで細かく見れなかったんですけど、まあ見えてもわかんないですけど。
これなら十分だよ。
Wait, that info's helpful?
Maybe that's just the beginning, and then it keeps
Sure.
going, and it gets more useful.
会では出番いらないですから。
No, no, no,
私は
clearly.
偵察要員で結構選手の心構えとかないですから。
The fighting spirit.
僕あっちでメモ整理するから。
To consolidate these
住所取っ
notes.
といて。
Make them actionable.
私以外みんな試合に出たくてたまらないんだと思ってたけど違うのかもしれない。あんな勝負と優劣の世界。
A lot of people, apparently.
なかなかいい勝負になってるじゃないですか
The switch! Yes!
Just, yeah.
クイズ選手権のために
And it's covering her face. That's probably gotten a lot closer.
Right.
クイズの研鑽があった
Oh.
好きなんだ張り詰めた呼吸さえ聞こえてくるような
She's trying to just calm down, I guess. Oh no, she's...
お前は息をするだけで勝てる
失礼します
Yeah, deep breaths, deep breaths.
Oh, yep, that's
Deep
what she's
cleansing
been
breaths.
taught. Yep. Everyone heard that.
入ってくる
Center yourself. Flow like
Yes.
綺麗な
Channel that Kuro energy.
water. Ah, there we
Yeah.
go.
星で言ったら目が
Oh, Vega, the Weaver. Oh,
抑えるのも悪くない
失礼しました
See, that's
man
not
of
like this.
culture.
They're a bunch of nerds.
みんなは
I wouldn't mind if she looked down on me.
3組劣勢
Wait.
移動します
Damn.
どこよ俺のいる水北海はどっちかというと
Oh.
1枚も取らせなければいいそれくらいの気持ちでいくと
Yeah.
敵陣も取れちゃう不思議
Right, because you'll get some of them.
Oh my gosh, that's great. This is just rattling Chihaya.
盲目の琵琶の名手セミナリです
Meanwhile, Taichi, the memorization god, is doing amazingly fine.
Also, I will say, if they have all their cards in random setups, you could go for the strategy of just hitting a shit ton of them.
Yeah.
Because you don't need to worry about the placement being different afterwards.
Right, but because they're moving them around a lot, that's probably what the issue is.
こすげえいくら移動してもついてくる
相手の配置に意図が全然ないんなら私も柔軟に札の
Right, but she's not remembering them based on their syllables.
大量に札を移動させるスタイルでも体は暗記についていけないやつにはこのスピードでよくても俺ついていくし俺も同じタイプだから
Yeah.
カルタは頭と体両方いるんだよ
I'll beat you at your own game.
西田が俺に教えようとしたのは体があること頭と
Oh.
気持ちよくカルタさせちゃいけない移動します
心
そう私
Incredible.
ここまで頑張れないだ
Yep, yep.
トラックになる
移動します
こんなに札入れ
Okay.
してくる相手は初めてついてい
Yep.
けば
This is winnable.
札移動します
Doesn't matter.
さすがに下げてきた
Ah, that way she has to... Okay.
こうだ
Oh my god.
音より早く
Okay, he might have a crush now.
Yeah. Oh my god.
ひらめきを信じて攻める俺のひらめきは脳を通ってるこの子は
You think the impulses reach her brain? Nah. Yeah.
織姫なんかじゃない
Yeah.
この鋭さはオリオン座のベラトリ
Ugh.
女戦士の星
Oh.
立ったままね
Cool. They won.
起きろ
How does she even do that?
予選敗退は悔しいがこの経験は次につながるクイズ予選にもきっと生かされる
いけないですこの負けはカルタの負けだカルタで取り返します
All right.
本当に超優秀で超バカだな
Baka da na.
決勝トーナメント進出おめでとう
All right. Final bracket.
Homemade
他のとこどう
cookies?
だった
雨といえばクイーンがすごかったですよびしょびしょで入ってきてなんか福井って書いた T シャツの人かばって個人戦出してくださいって頭下げてました
Oh.
クイーンにもライバルっているんですね
A Fukui shirt.
新と忍ちゃんだ戦いたいからすみれちゃんそれどういう
余計な話してる場合か
Yep. Stay on task.
次のオーダーを考えようやめてくれ
Ah.
クイーンと新たこの言葉で千早が集中を書く
And they also distract you.
集中してほしいのにやっぱり来てる新た
決勝トーナメントは駒野先輩がスタメンでよろしい
って交代ってこと？
つぶし
あんたの出たがりそんなもん。
違うや集めたデータを活かせると思って。
その通りですね。受けるのでいいと思いますけどつくえくんはどう思います？
待って。
Oh.
次の試合も予選と同じメンバーでいいと思う。つくえくん抜きのメンバーでいいと思う。
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's potential drama.
Yeah, yeah.
But the way he said it at the beginning, that makes me think it's the, no, we want a pattern. So that way when we need to at the critical moment, we switch it up.
Maybe. Yeah.
But we'll have to see.
Okay. Yeah, don't get thrown off by the Arata arrival.
Yeah. Just...
Yes, he is here.
Arata arrival, and Arata is arrival.
Yeah, exactly. Arata is going to have a chance of maybe competing in the individual tournament.
Yep.
Chihaya and company won their next team match.
Awesome.
And now it's the decision as to who gets brought into the next one.
Right. And Nishida does not think that Tsutomu should be brought in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Why? We'll have to see in the next episode, but interesting.
Yeah, as far as it being something where he hasn't been participating in the matches that got them up to this point, there's the angle that he's not actually ready to go and play against the high caliber players that would have made it to the playoffs.
Yeah, he might not be like warmed up or whatever.
Yeah, and you wouldn't want to warm them up on basically
a really hard match.
Well, another team that's won 2 or 3 times in a row.
Sure. Yeah,
so,
that does make
like,
sense, yeah.
It's the kind of thing where while he's one of the weakest players on the team, the other players are not automatic losses.
Right.
So it's not that he would necessarily be an increase to their odds of winning. It's that he would be somebody that they're not able to study against.
Right.
But if they bring him in, the point that you were making is that then, you get less of a wow factor bringing him in at a specific time. But let's say they bring him in later, after they have gotten more info, nobody else will have info on him.
Nobody will have info on him, and because I feel like a lot of a karate game will be won in the drafting lineup stage, right? Because if you just have a bad lineup, it's like, that sucks. Our ace got put up against their worst player, right? Well, okay, everything else has to go really well. And so if they're able to keep that for like a clutch team because they have the notes and everything, and maybe they can be like, all right, we're up against this team. This is the team where we'll want to use it,
Yeah, and I don't think that there's any world right now where they as a team are strong enough to have
take the whole thing.
We're going to take the whole thing. Like all 5 players are going to win for any reason whatsoever. It is something where we got to see an interesting setup where they almost won 4. And, and Kana only was behind by like 2 cards.
And I like that they brought up the way in which, one, okay, this team had like its unique gimmick, right? They're not actually here for competitive karate per se, but this is a thing that helps them like prepare for like studying and quizzes and all that stuff. Makes a lot of sense. But then that also being something where their specific style of play of constantly changing up the cards because they're so good at memorization doesn't actually work against a lot of the people here because Taichi, he's also great at memorization and he's good at competitive karate. So, he beats you there. And then Kana, she's not even thinking of the syllables. She's seeing all the meanings of the poems and everything, right? Because she has so much attachment to them. So... yeah, you keep mixing them up.
She always sees where they are.
Yeah, she always sees where they are, right? You're going to still take longer to find the right card than she is. And then for Nishida, he just plays really defensive. Yeah.
Yeah, if it's a card that's called on his side, he's getting it first.
Yep.
So in that respect, then it's he's going to win by a low margin.
But he's going
to win most likely because he's going to take at least
a few cards.
Like at least maybe 1 or 2 cards on your side.
Right. And he's going to make sure that he doesn't make any faults because he understands the way that you're playing. Like this very much feels like the kind of thing where it's you can see as a result of playing it, you see who's really taking this seriously, because the people who take it seriously and really like hone their craft with regards to karate will be able to figure out what's happening and adapt to it, even if it isn't enough to beat the other team.
Yeah, it'll be enough to put up a competent
resistance, basically.
Yeah, resistance. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think that in a lot of ways, this game is one where, it's won basically by people that are able to act not just within the space of the syllables, like very quickly.
Yeah.
But also the people that are able to have a certain amount of mental fortitude where regardless of what is going on circumstantially around them, they're still there to play their game of karate.
Right. Like the biggest mistake that you could make in that setup, any karate game probably, but especially against these people, would be to lose your cool, which is exactly what Chihaya did.
Yeah.
So
their strongest player ends up becoming one of the weaker ones because of that.
Exactly. And that was a nice way to basically add conflict to the game when, with the way the team is set up, it doesn't feel like a team that's going to beat them.
No, it doesn't feel like it's a team that's going to beat them, or it's one that we'd be interested in following, really. Either.
Right. But now that it's like, okay, now we've gone through the first 2 matches of the tournament, they're in the the playoffs and all that stuff. Awesome. Now we can go into the all of these teams are main characters, in the like other people in the karate sphere.
Yeah, there was something kind of an interesting through line here with regards to the talk about Suo being someone that doesn't represent karate very well, according to a lot of the older people, being that in a lot of ways, to use like American football as an example here, they'll try to specifically make sure that the players that they give a lot of focus to are people that are going to be good for television, not necessarily the most skilled players out there.
Yeah, they want them to be, engaging and popular and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, like people that are going to be easy to do interviews with, basically. Right. And it's kind of disingenuous because then it means basically you could be one of the best players in the league and you just won't be elevated through that standpoint of popularity because
you don't have that star X factor or whatever.
Well, you just aren't good on TV according to the news networks and all that stuff.
Right.
Which is really scummy, but it's the kind of thing where in a sport like this where there's no team aspect to it at the top, it's just individuals. You could end up with someone like Suo where they're like, I want someone to beat him. And then you could have this kind of dirtier aspect where you have adults basically deciding whether or not they're going to punish Arata, not based on the ethics or the morality or the rules even, but it's just that, no, in a lot of ways, we need to be thinking about the future where Arata is going to potentially be a competitor against Suo, and he would be a great model for the sport in the long term.
Right. Which will then hopefully get more people into the sport and, all that stuff.
And that's a fun bit of a dialogue there.
Yep.
But I find it just interesting within this episode because this is the same episode where you have people coming in that might beat our main character group from Mizusawa, and they don't even really care all that much about karate.
Nope.
They're there just to use it as a vehicle to get better results at their testing stuff. And so the Empress is like, crush them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because there's nothing worse than like someone destroying you casually, disinterested, and they're just like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're not there for the sport.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, totally get it. That'd be very frustrating. But with the whole thing of the, Arata might be a better spokesperson for karate, we kind of get a convenient sidestep of that because then Shinobu's like, hey, he's really kind of the only person that I was excited to play against at this tournament. If he's not going to be here, I won't either. Now that's actual negotiating power, right? Like
it is a lot of negotiating power. There's been times in a lot of tournaments for specific types of things where people will actually just
drop out.
Just drop out because things aren't being handled well by the tournament organizers. So
yep.
I'm curious to see how this goes, but in a lot of ways this was a kind of a little in-between episode to show us another side of karate and showcase our team, having to fight on.
Fight on while the information gets dropped of, oh, Arata is here. Okay, but we can't think about that. We have to focus on our matches. Right.
Yeah. I would love to see a little bit more variety in the episode structure that we've been getting recently.
Sure.
This episode very much had like some of the exact same scenes at the beginning of the match and the end of the match of previous episodes.
Right. It's classic like Battle Shonen equivalent formula. Antagonist shows up to the protagonist kicks their shit in, and then they end up having a tearful realization at the end. Yep. Except in this case, it's not they become best friends, it's that they fall in love with Karta.
It's exactly that. We've seen this probably about 4 times at this point now, so I'd love to see something different. If part of it is the team drama on our side with regards to who's going to actually compete in the match, and that actually is the determining factor in whether they win or lose, very cool. Love to see that. But other than that, Arata, you might have your strongest ally beside you now.
Yep. So, cross your fingers.
Cross your fingers and bow real low.
Bow real low. Yeah.
So, y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You get an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general. Also, be sure to check out our Twitch channel. So if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.